Hello, viewers. Today, talking about the relationship between the mother-in-law and the daughters-in-law, the intricacies, the hatred, the dislike, the problems that they face day in, day out. And this does not actually budge well for the husband in the home. But most times it's a silent war that is brewing between these two personalities, very important to the life of the husband and the issues between their mother and their wife. So today's podcast is actually dedicated to that. And I know the Lord Himself will speak through us, and at the end we will have a peaceful home all through, especially so the first thing is we are going to look into the scriptures. The book of Proverbs, chapter 26, verse 2. Proverbs chapter 26, verse 2 says that as the bird, as the bird by wandering, says so the causeless shall not come. In other words, for everything that happened, there is a reason, there is a cause behind it. Like the Yoruba people will say that ewé tó ń jó lórí omi onílù ẹ̀ wà nísàlẹ̀ odò. In the normal translation, that the leaves that is dancing on top of the river, there is a drummer that is drumming for it underneath the river. There are a lot of things that leads to the silent war between the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law in the home. There is a reason behind it. And when we look into the book of Ruth, Ruth is a perfect example of what a wife should be in the home. And Naomi happens to be a perfect example of what a mother-in-law should be in the home. Ruth was looking for the best for Naomi, the mother-in-law, and Naomi looked for the best of Ruth, her daughter-in-law, even though her own son has died. So what are the major causes that could have led, to this silent war, silent battles between the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law, who happens to be the wife? Number one reason for this is ignorance. Hosea chapter 4 verse 6 says, "My people perish because they lack knowledge." Many women, many daughter-in-law, and many mother-in-law also, quote and unquote, are not knowledgeable about their roles to play as a mother-in-law. They usually see the wife as an intruder to their home. And the wife that is coming, she's also ignorant of her roles and duty in the home that also involves the mother-in-law. Let me tell you one basic fact. It is an absolutely lie when people tells you that it is me, myself, and my wife, or me, myself, and my husband. Remember, on the day of marriage, somebody gave you out. And on the day of your traditional wedding, you were given not to your husband straight away, but to the parent of your spouse. Yes, they are not allowed to help you run day in, day out of your home. Your home, you have to build your own home as it ought to be. But they have a part to play, and you cannot cut your husband off from his family. Neither is the husband expected to cut the wife off from the family. So you must not be ignorant that you have a role to play. You have some duties to perform, even to both your mother-in-law and your daughter-in-law. So let me tell you one basic fact. As no matter how long you live, one of you will leave the other first. And how you have treated the family is how you will be treated after your spouse has gone. So I remember the case of a man that called his wife and said, "I want to go to my mother and give her some things, some groceries, some provisions." So they went to the mall and then bought some grocery, bought some things, and then he actually asked the wife to pinpoint things that will be bought. So the wife pinpoint, okay, this, and this, and this, and they packed it. And then when they entered the car, the man drove straight to the wife's mother's house. Then on the way, the wife realized that it is her mother's house that they're going. So she started complaining. Why? He said, "Your mother is my mother. So what you have picked to give my mother is what I'm actually going to give your mother. Said, no, you should have told me. I would have picked this and picked that. I said, no. Whatever you feel is good enough for my mother is the same thing that is good enough for your mother too. So what is the husband trying to do? Trying to reorientate his wife that my mother, your mother should be treated in the same manner. But most women does not know this. The same way, most mother-in-law, they are so ignorant that the way they will treat their own daughter is not the way they are treating their daughter-in-law. And this is very, very wrong. So we need number two, wrong assumption. Number two, wrong assumption. There are certain assumptions that most ladies carried into the marriage due to the bad experience some of their friends has had with their mother-in-law, due to the what they have watched in movies, concerning mother-in-laws. Many ladies usually pray that they don't want to marry a man that has a mother. Okay, no problem. You just remember that whatever you sow, you will reap. Because whoever is going to marry your own son too will also be praying that you will not be alive by the time she's also marrying your own son. If you want to witness the wedding of your own son, then you must not pray. You must stop praying such prayers. An assumption, a very wrong assumption has been passed across the line. Most mothers-in-laws are seen as a witch, and most daughter-in-law and daughter-in-law are seen as an intruders, and that causes a lot of friction in the home. Yes, it causes a lot of friction because of bad examples, bad report that people have said about daughters-in-law and mother-in-law. And we use that to treat a new mother-in-law or a new daughter-in-law. This is very wrong. Assumption is the mother of all chaos in the world. And we have to be very careful about this. Don't assume. Even if your mother-in-law shows some trait that is you don't so much like, tell yourself, if it has been my mother, your mother is not so perfect too. So if it has been your mother, you overlook it. So we must learn to overlook even when they misbehave one way or the other. And you are not there to control them or for your mother-in-law to subject to you. You, as the daughter-in-law, are to succumb and be submissive even to your mother-in-law. The daughter-in-law, the wife in the home, must be ready to submit to the mother-in-law, and that is by taking them as her own mother. So three, the battle of ownership and possession. The battle of ownership and possession. This is one major crisis, in the home between the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law. Most women, almost all women, has the nature of possession. They want to possess their husband. Every woman wants to possess. They have the of ownership. My husband is my home. Whatever belongs to the same way they fight for their children. Now, the same way you as a wife, you are fighting for your son, that this is my son. The same way your mother-in-law is also fighting for his own son, who happens to be your husband, that this is my son. So it is a general nature of women that they want to possess what belongs to them. The mother-in-law see his son as his son and him from her because of how he has suffered, how he has labored over that child. And you cannot even weigh this off because a relationship that has spanned for almost 25 years, 30 years before he got married, you don't expect that relationship to be thrown in the dustbin just because the man gets married. So you, the wife, you must realize it and know that a time is coming that you will be in the same shoe. So you don't have to compete and fight your mother-in-law for the custody of your husband. Let me tell you, your mother-in-law belongs to the generation that is passing away. Sooner or later, she will pass away. And all the ownership of your husband now becomes yours. So all you need to do is to exercise patience. Number two is that you must also realize that he has a say over his son, because one day you also want to have a say over your own son too. So, and that is why she will fight tooth and nail if she feels that you are depriving a son from him. And what should you do? You should be the one that will encourage your husband. Let's go and visit mama. Let's buy this for mama. Let's do that for mama. Do you know that it was Naomi that knows the secret in the family, how it can make Ruth to be settled? And she gladly, did that for Ruth. There are certain secrets in your husband's family that you will never know except the mother releases to you in at her palm. And for her to release them to you, she has to trust you. And the only way she can trust you is for you to be open to her and to let her realize that you are not taking a son from her. Let me tell you, by doing that, you are preparing a better future for yourself. Number four, it is the issue of jealousy. Jealousy. Every woman has the mind, has the nature of being jealous. Yes, she is jealous. Jealousy will bring unnecessary competition. Jealousy will bring unnecessary competition between you and the mother-in-law. But you don't have to compete with your mother-in-law. You have to complement. And mother-in-laws don't have to compete with their daughter-in-law. Rather, they have to teach and mold them in the best way that will give their son a peace of mind. There are a lot of things that both of you can learn from each other. So instead of allowing jealousy, rather complement one another, either in the area of cooking, spirituality, and dressing, and so on and so forth. Number five, morality and success. Morality and success. These are two major things that every mother-in-law will watch for as soon as their son gets married. Even the first one, morality, will be observed as soon as the son brings the wife to be to them to assess. Whenever you come, they will assess your morality. Are you cultured? Are you cautious? Are you respectful? Are you decent? These are the things that mothers will size the wife to be up. And by the time you get married, every mother-in-law wants to compare before the son gets married to you and after the son gets married to you, what is the rate of success in his life. That is why it is very imperative for every daughter-in-law, every wife, to learn to pray. Pray before your marriage. Pray in your marriage that your husband must be successful. Whether they tell you or not, they are assessing whether is their son getting better after marrying to you, financially, in every facet of his life, or he is coming down. If he is coming down, you are the new person that has entered into his life. The blame will be put on you, and that is why you have to pray. Also, the mother-in-law has to pray that their son married the right woman. Yes, and once you know that God has provided the right woman for your son, you don't need to be doing any unnecessary assessment. Number six, it is the area of grandchild. Number six, that's this another bleeding point of war between the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law. Every mother-in-law wants to carry their grandchild. Every daughter-in-law also wants to have her own child. Now, when there are two crises that will emanate from this, number one is, if the woman did not get pregnant on time, then there will be problem. There will be issues because the mother only knows her son. She doesn't really know the wife. So naturally, they will believe that it is the wife that has messed herself up, that has lived a wayward life, and has come to tarnish and create issues for their own son. So you don't really have to blame them because they don't really know you. Or that is why prayer is also essential. That God bless me with the fruit of the womb in 9 months immediately after my wedding. And God will do just that for you. That is why you have to pray to marry into the right family that will take you as their own daughter. So the grandchild is an issue. But both of you are fighting for the same thing. It will be paining the wife that she wants to have her own son. Yes, it's also paining the grandma, the mother-in-law, that she couldn't get her own grandchild. And naturally, she wants to vent her anger on the wife. But in that situation, you have to be patient and you have to be prayerful. You have to be patient, you have to be prayerful. If you are in the shoe, you might have done the same likewise. The second point even on this issue of grandchild is also that even after having the grandchild, the grandmother wants to have a say on that child because that is a grandchild, especially when you married the firstborn in the family and you are the one that gave birth to the first grandchild. So the mother wants to have a say, but unfortunately for many wives, they want to even deprive the grandmother, yes, the grandmother, the access to the mother-in-law access to their child. No, it will not work. I know most times there is this issue of who will come and babysit with the wife. The wife will naturally prefer her mother, against her mother-in-law. But if where there is cooperation and understanding, actually both of them can actually do that themselves. You know, if I were you as the wife, you would rather prefer your mother-in-law to come. Let my mother-in-law comes. That means you trusted her. If she now says, what about your own mother? And she willingly receive that, the responsibility for your mother to come. You have actually struck gold with her because you have honored her. Number seven is that because you belong to different generation. Bible says there are different generations. You belong to different generations. And because you belong to different, the way you think your belief system is always different. You just have to understand when they are talking that they are talking according to the belief and the working of the tradition and their generation. Don't let it cause unnecessary issues for you. Times that instead of you arguing with her, you rather talk to your husband. And then sometimes you actually need to make her see how things are being done in this present generation. But at the same time, you must appreciate our own belief. Stop discounting of whatever your mother-in-law says. That is the old time. You are offending her gradually. And when she begins to spark, she will only wait for you the day something will boomerang, and then all you have been saying will be used against you. Right? Bible said wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all that getting, get understanding.